right, welcome back to The Factor Uncensored, and thank you for joining us for our second half hour of The Factor tonight. Now, there's a major issue brewing at some companies: toxic work environments and how it can negatively affect the mental health of employees, even the top people, the CEOs. According to the Business Solver's 2024 State of Workplace Empathy Report, half of CEOs and 35% of employees say their company culture is a hot mess. My next guest shares what can be done. And joining us on The Factor Uncensored tonight, we have with us Dr. Lee Richardson, and she's a specialist, brain specialist, coach, and consultant. So, Dr. Richardson, when I saw these statistics in this recent study, it was mind-blowing that 55% of CEOs and 50% of workers experience a mental health issue over the last year. Let's talk about that. When we talk about a mental health issue, exactly what are we talking about?
We're talking about depression or anxiety or ADHD or people on the autistic spectrum. And those are really brain health issues. But when we think about mental health, we think, oh, something's not working in our mind. But they're really brain health issues, and they affect us on a physical level just as much as they do on a mental level many times.
And in the numbers that they released, we see that 55% of CEOs went through something, some mental health issue or a brain issue. Is it because they're under a lot of pressure, much more pressure than the average worker? Or can you compare the two? Is it like apples to oranges?
Well, you know what? That's a good question. But what I really wonder is, are they just that more open to talk about it now? I honestly don't know that the stress is dramatically higher than it has been. I do know when I first started having brain health, mental health conversations back in 2005, it was lonely. People are more ready to engage, after we went through COVID, mental health became a whole new subject.
Yes. And people are more willing to talk about it and at least try to address it and share it with others so they won't feel alone, like many people felt alone during COVID.
And I say kudos to those CEOs that stepped up and said, "Yeah, I'm human, just like everybody in this company. It affects me too."
Now, this is something that many CEOs and managers can do something about. The study also indicated half of CEOs and 35% of employees likewise say their company culture is toxic. So if you're at the top and you're the CEO, why not do something about it?
Absolutely. And I think what's contributing to that feeling of toxicity is we've really lost our sense of community. We don't feel like I guess the buzzword, I read the study, and the buzzword for me was belonging.
Mhm.
And we don't feel like that we can go and be our authentic self. And if you feel like you have to go in and fake it till you make it to get through the day, that's a toxic environment.
Right, right. And so what should be done about that? I mean, is that something that that CEO who acknowledges there's a toxic culture in his workplace should be working on with human resources and bringing counselors in?
Well, it's interesting because human resources were also cited in that study. And I think everybody involved is seeing we've got some real issues that we need to work on. And I think it starts with leadership, training. I mean, honestly, those conversations, I've been having them for 20 years. They're not easy. And if managers aren't trained and they don't know you can sense when somebody walks in the room, and you can sense when they're out of balance, whether they're looking down or whether they're holding themselves tight. You can sense that, but they may not know how to go up and say, if there's anything I can do today to make your day a little bit better, please let me know. Because sometimes just something that simple can can turn a situation around pretty quickly. So training, educating, teaching those leaders and those managers how to understand what psychological safety is and how you create it.
And Dr. Richardson, what would be your advice for an employee who may feel like they're working in a toxic workplace, but they don't want to lose their job. You know, if it's so toxic here, then leave. But what advice would you tell them to take in order to deal with that?
Well, the first thing that I would tell them is stop and check in with themselves and just say, what do you need to make this less toxic for you? What could help you get through your day a little bit better? Because sometimes we know the answers. And sometimes once we stop and we ask ourselves the questions, they become more attainable. And if you can be specific when you talk to your manager or your leader, that can make a huge difference.